Good morning, everyone. Couldn't sleep tonight, so thought I would try something new here and do a late night driving video. It's really early morning, about 3:30 in the morning. Decided to take a drive down to Seattle. Most of my content seems to be focusing around Seattle for now. That's kind of the goal, is really just want to capture everything I can about Seattle. And one of the things that we are currently dealing with is opening back up. Inslee has said that we'll stop mask mandates on the 12th. Starts to be talks of people going back to the office. I'm not sure how much that's going to happen. News was talking tonight about the fact that a lot of businesses don't want to send their workers back to work more because of the crime in downtown Seattle. 3rd and Pike, between Pine and Pike, seem to be a big issue. Around the courthouse seems to be a big issue. Along with Pioneer Square, which has typically always been kind of a sketchy area. But along with, where my wife and I used to go a lot in our younger years, Belltown, all around Pike Place, and the shopping district, those areas have all gotten pretty bad. Thought this could be kind of interesting to see just what Seattle looks like late at night, early morning. And we are coming into right around the Space Needle now. And we're just gonna take a drive downtown, see what things look like. One thing I will say, every time I come into this city, I just love it. I think 10 years ago of how nice and cleaner it was, and just better, more thriving community. I think we can all agree that we want to see this city striving and we want to see it doing well. So I'm hoping with things opening back up, people getting back to work, hoping that, we can kind of make it thriving again and clean it up a bit. It was great coming down here to the Pike Place Market the other day. It was a little surprising how empty it was. I wasn't expecting to see so few people there. So I don't know if that was just COVID related, but it was definitely a lot quieter than I'm used to. So it was kind of cool. Just as far as the video goes, you're able to get a much better view of what the market looked like, the shops, and a great video just to give you an idea, if you're new to the area, of what there is to offer at Pike Place. My wife and I love going down there. It's a little tougher with 2 young kiddos, but she was even kind of excited about the idea about maybe doing a video with me, so be a good way of introducing her to the channel, letting you guys get to meet my family a little bit. So at night, honestly, I have not been down here in years this late at night or this early in the morning. So I'm not quite sure what to expect or what we're gonna see. But we'll take a look. I will honestly say, being at Pike Place the other day, was cleaner than I expected. Cleaner than the last time I was there. Did get hassled a few times by a few individuals, but overall it wasn't as bad as I was expecting based on what I had heard on the news. That being said, we parked at the market and we really didn't leave the market itself. We went to the market, went to Post Alley, went to the shops down under, also went down to the waterfront and got a video in of the waterfront, which I'm working on editing right now. So that's going to be the next video that I'm hoping to get up. Kind of making a mix of content right now, so looking at going to parks. My kids are 3 and 5, so going to parks is a big deal right now, and we're looking to find fun things for them to do, and that'll be a fun way of getting my family involved as well. Other than parks, also looking at, our favorite malls. My wife definitely has a favorite, which I would say was Bellevue Square. We live a lot closer to Alderwood Mall, but we also both worked in the retail industry in our early 20s. As you can see, we're already seeing quite a bit of homeless as we come into the downtown corridor. So this is definitely a little different than I'm used to. Bed Bath & Beyond is gone. And yeah, it's just not quite the same. Right here on our left was the Bon Marché, which turned into Macy's. My wife Julie worked there for quite a few years before she became a phlebotomist. Something that, you know, we spent a lot of time down in the Belltown area, so we were actually just coming through Belltown, and now we're into shopping district and close to Pike Place. It's kind of frustrating. I know Target has been having quite the issue since this whole thing has happened with stealing. I hope they can keep that down here. That's a nice thing for the locals to have down here, and it's nice to have something when you're visiting from out of town to know you can get some cheap groceries, or if you need headache medicine. You know, this is definitely where you're going to see all your higher prices for all the touristy type stuff that's around. So we're currently on 2nd right now, and we're passing Pike Place Market will be on our right. And you know, right now it's quiet. You know, don't know what it looks like normally at 3:30, 45 in the morning. So Smith Tower in front of us. If we keep heading this way, this will bring us into Pioneer Square. So we'll just keep going down this way for a bit. Honestly, overall it does look pretty decent compared to what I was expecting. And you know, I'd like to spend a little more time down here. I'm hoping maybe do a walking tour of the downtown shopping area, see what stores are still open, see what's still doing well. And the monorail actually runs from Westlake Center to the Seattle Center, and that way we can see the Space Needle. So kind of thinking about combining those two together, doing a walk of downtown Seattle, the shopping district, what everything's looking like, and then taking the monorail over to Seattle Center and getting a tour of the Space Needle and the new Climate Pledge Arena. I think that's what they're calling it. But now we're basically into Pioneer Square, and everything's looking really quiet. I know they've been trying to beef up police presence, especially after this last couple of weeks of violence. Tough thing for them is I know they're down about 1/3 of their force, so they're trying to cover a lot of ground with not a lot of people to help cover that ground. Really just hoping that, you know, we're in a place where things are going to start getting better. Still is a really cool city. Alright, we are going to turn here. We're going to head back and see what we see on the way back here. So one thing you'll notice about Seattle is they've really minimized how many places you have to go as far as parking goes, and also for cars in general. It's just not very friendly towards cars. So this is another area that's been very touch and go, is the courthouse area. Right now, if you can see on my left, there's quite a bit of tents. So this is definitely, I've never seen it like this. This is honestly kind of sad. It's just kind of everywhere. So that's unfortunate to see. I know we've been having a lot of issues around the courthouse. There's been talks of wanting to move the court elsewhere and really cleaning up the park around there because it's gotten so bad. I'm not sure what this officer's doing, but I'm gonna just go by him, and if he tells me to pull over, I'll pull over. Alright, so we are on 4th. I wanted to be on 3rd, so we're gonna swing back down if we can. Just trying to make sure I stay out of the way of the officer. The other thing I was looking at doing was just a video of walking around the market at night. It's just, no matter what time of day you go to that market, it's just gorgeous. It's a fun place to be. Been going there ever since I was a kid. And really just, I can never get enough of it. You know, it's one of those places where if we lived closer, there's just so much to explore and discover down there that you're never going to run out of food options or choices for what you would want to get. One of the things my wife and I always wished we had done was actually lived in downtown so that we could experience that. Closest we ever got to was being more in the U District over by Wallingford. So we have a lot of fond memories of the Wallingford, U District, Green Lake area, which is another area, Seattle, that has been hit with some issues and really wasn't something that you normally would see with that portion. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. We're planning on biking or walking around that hopefully soon here. Alright, so we got some activity over here, nothing major. You know, really it's so cold. These people are out here and weather's just horrible. There's garbage, but it's not horribly filthy. Definitely something where I think they've been doing some cleaning up for sure. But already, I mean, there's just people kind of hanging out in the middle of the night. These scooters, oh man, yeah, there's just garbage everywhere on the streets here. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but there's just garbage everywhere. But these scooters, you know, they're a really cool thing to see in these bikes and everything. Honestly, I'm not a huge germaphobe, but if I was down here, I would be using some cleaning wipes before touching them, because they are definitely not something I'd be wanting to put my hands on. Go up and down a few of these streets, just see what we see. Take you over by the public market. I think I can still drive down there. If we can, we'll check that out. Looks like this is a memorial for the person that got shot, I'm guessing. That's horrible. And we are back at what used to be the Macy's building. McDonald's is on our right. This little area right here is probably one of the areas as a tourist you really want to be careful of. You're really close to all these fun things, but there's just been such bad crime in the area that you really got to be thinking about what you're doing when you come down here now. Which is really unfortunate. One of the Seattle souvenir shops here has said that he's on the brink of closing down his business because of how many times he's been broken into. And it's just sad to hear that. You want to hear people doing well and you want to see this thriving. And this channel, I don't want it to be a downer type channel. I want it to be, you know, what's great about the Pacific Northwest. Currently my family and I, you know, we love it here, but it's also very expensive, so we're open to the idea of potentially moving and going somewhere else. But part of the reason that we decided to do that was we really wanted to document the great things about Seattle. You know, my dad made a comment of, if you're gonna leave Seattle, you know, you need to do a pros and cons of staying versus going. Like, you know, what will you be happy about? What will you miss? And that really was part of what spawned this channel. You know, it was an idea of, yeah, you know, there's a lot of things as far as me growing up here. This is a big part of me, and documenting that and making sure people know where I come from, you know, that's something I do care about, and I would like to make sure people know where I came from. And if we do leave, I want my kids to know about this area, and more than anything, if they can look back at these videos and get some enjoyment out of them, definitely something I would be happy about having. So whether or not this content's exciting for everyone, I hope it is, but really, you know, this is something where I want to do what I'm enjoying doing, and I haven't gotten to talk to you guys yet. I haven't gotten much interaction with anyone yet, so we'll see how that goes. And if we get more interaction, I'm really excited to hear your ideas, hear what you want to see, and what I can tell you about the city in the Pacific Northwest, the place I grew up in. Or if you have any suggestions of things maybe I haven't done. You know, I've kind of made a list of my bucket list of Seattle. So we already went down the market, but this is kind of the iconic shot of the market, public market center, farmers market. One thing I noticed about my walking tour video is I kind of missed out on actually showing that sign, and that's kind of the thing people think about when they think of the market. They think of that sign, they think of Post Alley, think of the original Starbucks, which really, there's Starbucks on almost every corner down here. If you really need to go to the first Starbucks, which is up here, just further down on this street, do it. But just keep in mind there's Starbucks everywhere. So if you just want to get a cup of coffee or something else, I think there's a place called Storybook Coffee here in the market as well. I have never been to the one down here, but they have one, I believe, in Everett that I've been to, and it was pretty good. Something you'll notice about the locals, there's kind of a love-hate relationship with Starbucks. So some people absolutely love Starbucks. It's the only thing they'll drink. Other people will stick to Starbucks because they know everywhere they go, it may not be their favorite coffee, but they know the consistency will be the same. So they really care about, hey, I know this is what I'm gonna get, this is where I'm gonna go. Other people are just full out, not gonna go to Starbucks. Where that comes into line is there's still some animosity about when Howard Schultz, who used to be the CEO of Starbucks, I don't think he is anymore, but he also owned the Sonics. And when he sold the team to Clay Bennett, we all kind of saw the writing on the wall that the Sonics were not going to stay here in Seattle. Get a new arena done where now Climate Pledge Arena has been revamped. We went and saw Jacoy there. Was it last month? I believe it was last month. Awesome. Jacoy is hilarious. So if you know of him, awesome. But he's a Filipino comedian, half Filipino, half white, and my wife is Filipino, and our kids are a mixed race, so there's some commonality there that we share. Even though my wife basically grew up here since she was 12, we actually met at the end of high school. But he is just absolutely hilarious, and he just talks about Filipino culture and growing up in a home with how that interacted and worked in his home. Just great comedy. So we really enjoyed that. But first time we were in the new arena, and it's gorgeous. Parking definitely seems like it's still going to be an issue, which was a big reason why I think a lot of us were hoping they were going to put the new arena in Pioneer Square, or even going to Bellevue or Kent. There was all sorts of talks of it going all over the place. None of that really came to any fruition, and they redid the arena. They dug down, made it bigger. Brother-in-law actually got to help work on it. So it's a really cool arena. But yeah, that's another part of Seattle that is just some history there. All right. Well, definitely some dirty areas around Pike and 3rd. Definitely seen that already. Other than that, you know, I think it's late enough or early enough in the morning, however you want to call it, that I don't think we're seeing as much as we normally do. This is obviously not great right here. Just tents everywhere. But this is kind of the shopping district downtown shopping district. So I'm gonna take a lap around here and we'll just kind of cruise around a little bit. I am way too awake for it being now 4 in the morning. So if you are from this area, I'd love to hear you know, your favorite places to go and some of your favorite bites to eat. I think everyone knows that's a local of Dick's here. If you're California or Texas or anywhere down where they have In-N-Out or Whataburger, Dick's is basically our late night meal that we go for. So it's a no dine-in type place. Up until recently they were still cash only. If you tried to pay with anything other than cash, they wanted to take it. It's kind of funny because if you go to pay right now, they actually will not take cash. They will only take cards because they keep having a sign saying a coin shortage. So are we really having a coin shortage? That's a question I actually am kind of curious about. If anyone has an answer to that, I should probably Google that and see, but they basically have this sign on their window all the time saying we can no longer take cash due to the national coin shortage. Alright, so right up here, if you can see that, that would be the convention center up in front. What's kind of cool about the convention center is it has all sorts of conventions. My little brother and I have been going to PAX for years, along with my buddy Nick. GameWorks that we're passing our left, unfortunately, has gone out of business because of the pandemic. Cheesecake Factory, I think that'll always be there. That's gosh, one of my first dates was at the Cheesecake Factory years and years and years ago. More than, I hate to say it, more than 20 years ago. But this is part of Seattle. It gets pretty active and busy. There's been a lot of talks with conventions and people's safety where conventions have talked about not wanting to be here, which I really hope that is not the case. You know, we got a new mayor that has just started his being in office, and he seems like he really does want to make things better. He's been on the news a lot lately talking about trying to get things better, so I really hope that they're serious about that. I hope it's something that'll happen. Really, I have no clue what they can or can't get done at this point. It's really something that's kind of tough. Just we have so much crime, not enough officers. Politics have been pretty tough in this city. You know, kind of not sure. What are you doing, buddy? Okay, well, at least we didn't get an accident. Politics have been a tough issue. Our homeless crisis, we're spending $1 billion a year on homeless and drug addiction, and working with homeless and addicts for many, many years. I've had some success helping get people clean and off the streets, and also seen some people I really cared about that have passed away because of addiction. So I have a lot of compassion for the issue, also some frustration on the issue, because I see a lot of people that are hurting and we're not doing enough to help them, and finding a solution to that seems to work is a lot harder than you can imagine. Everyone has an idea of what success is, and that success is not necessarily making the best outcomes regardless of how you feel. And this up here, if you can see this, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but I have a red light to turn left. It's green to go straight. Now we have these bike lanes where you can keep going straight if you're in a bike, but I cannot take a left because the bike lane is green. So something I was touching base on a little bit earlier was we've done a good job of removing roads and replacing them with bike lanes down here, and trying to make it safer for bikers, but we've really limited the ability for people to drive in the area, and also for people to get around safely. So that's been kind of a sore issue for a lot of people. If you do enjoy driving down here, it's not the easiest place. Parking, there's limited parking, can be expensive. I was actually honestly a little surprised last time I was down here for doing the Pike Place tour. It was $4 an hour to park in that parking garage. So down here for about 4 to 5 hours with a buddy, and honestly it was not that bad for what I was expecting. So that was a welcome surprise to be able to get right there in the market. Like I said, I didn't really leave the market, so I haven't gotten a good feel for what things look like on a daily basis right now when you're down here. So coming down here in the middle of the night, you know, honestly, it's hard for me to say. Like I see some stuff that's not great. I see quite a few tents. I see a lot of trash on Pike and 3rd and heading south on 3rd. But I don't know if it's worse than what I expected it to be. And I don't know how active it is during the day. Got busy talking. Alright. Looks like we have some security people as well. So yeah, this would be our main shopping area. I've spent a lot of time down here as a kid and my younger years. Tree lighting festival is right here by the Starbucks during Christmas time. It's something we really want to do with the kids, and it just hasn't felt safe enough to come down and do. So hopefully that's something we can do in the near future. Westlake Center is on our right here. You know, that's another thing we'll probably take a look at, is just walking the food court. We used to spend so much time in that food court because you could get some good eats for cheap. But yeah, this whole area, a lot of protests are held here, a lot of different vocal opinions you'll hear right in this area. But it's just weird to see this area being kind of overtaken the way it has been. And you know, I know shops have been kind of hit hard. Pierogi that's on 3rd actually said until crime gets better, they're shutting down. And as I said earlier, there's quite a few businesses that are worried about coming back until they start making crime better. So seem to be kind of making the Bon Marché Macy's building our anchor point here. Been by here a few times. We're gonna head back down and see what we get here. So yeah, lots of police presence. That's actually really good to see. So we're gonna head over to Pioneer Square because we kind of got a good idea of what Pike and the downtown district looks like. Pioneer Square has always been the more rough area, so I am kind of curious to see what that looks like. So let's take a look here. No turn on red. All right. So this parking garage that's on our right, you can't see it, but it's known as basically looking like a sunken ship. I know it's pretty popular for just the way it looks, because it is a funky looking parking garage. It's pretty unique, and if I remember correctly, I think my dad actually had a hand working on that. So if you can see on the right here, it almost looks like it's the bow of the ship is going upwards, and just really kind of a cool, weird parking garage that's been here I don't even know how long time. All right, so we are in Pioneer Square. One of the cool things you'll see in Pioneer Square is the Seattle Underground tour. So if you know anything about Seattle Underground, Seattle actually has been built up So there's actually a city below it. And Seattle Underground Tour really comes down to how good your tour guide is more than anything. If you got a good tour guide, it's pretty interesting. You don't get to see all that much, but there's actually a city underneath this city that was built on top of, so it's kind of cool to hear that story. So maybe if that's something you guys are interested in, we can go more into that story as well. But that's kind of the thing I think about when I think of Pioneer Square, and then when you get into Sodo, you get into the Seahawks Stadium and the Mariners Stadium. When I think of Seahawks, I think of Clink. I think they changed it to CenturyLink. Is it CenturyLink now? I'm honestly not sure what it is now. I think the Mariners Stadium, I think of it as Safeco. I think it is now T-Mobile. So you catch ferries down here as well. It's something pretty unique to Seattle. That's something you guys want to see. Kids love taking ferry rides. We have ferries all up and down the I-5 corridor pretty much. So there's a ferry that you can catch in Edmonds, ferries in Seattle. If you go really far north, Anacortes, there's a ferry, Friday Harbor, Bainbridge, Gig Harbor. There's all sorts of, the San Juans, there's all sorts of cool islands that we get to by ferry, and it's just cool to see all that. So we got one of the stadiums here on our left, Seahawks Stadium, which you can't really see unfortunately, but I promise you it is there. These roads are a little different. Getting myself a little confused. Alright, so kind of did a really quick run through of Pioneer Square. We'll head back through it here in a minute. But yep, T-Mobile Park is here on our left. There's a statue of Griffey that it's kind of sad. I have not been to a Mariners game and I can't remember how long. So there's Edgar Martinez, named after for one of the streets down here. There's a Griffey statue. Dave Niehaus, you know, for those of us old enough to know who Dave Niehaus is, he's somebody that was our sportscaster for, gosh, I don't even know, decades maybe, for the Mariners. Here's the Griffey statue, if you could see it. I don't know if that's actually gonna let you see it, but Griffey statue's here on our left. But when he passed away, that was a hard thing to deal with. Best sportscaster we ever had for Seattle. Edgar is there too. So we're gonna flip back around here. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see any of that. There is just something cool about being in the city at night. I love all the lights being out. Lumen Field, that's what the Seahawks Stadium is called. No longer the Clink, it's Lumen Field. Alright, well, you know what? We are right next to Chinatown, the International District. So I am just gonna swing into the International District since we're here. I don't know how long to make these videos. You know, that's a good question to you guys as well. More engagement I get with you guys, please let me know what kind of video length you're looking for. If you like the longer ones, if you like them shorter, if you like me talking, or if I just need to shut up, you know, I am perfectly fine with making some videos and just throwing in some tags like I did for the Pike Place walking tour, where I kind of, if you watch that one, you'll get an idea of the things that me personally I like. It'll be kind of fun when I go down there with my wife, because she's got a few things she likes more than I do. I'm a little picky when it comes to seafood, which, yeah, I know, we live in Seattle, and I am not a big seafood fan. It's kind of a, oh my gosh, how can that be? It's like being in Alaska and not liking seafood, but she is a huge seafood lover. International District has always been kind of a sketchy area as well, but honestly, I have not heard nearly as much about Chinatown and the International District as far as issues recently. It seems like a lot of the more issues have been in the downtown shopping core, and there's been an issue around Green Lake, which is a really popular area for getting exercise and just your daily activity in. So it's been really hard to just hear about these areas that we went to a lot, and then areas that, you know, you kind of expected to have more issues. I hope they're not doing even worse and they're just not getting the proper coverage that they should. So, a big staple here that everyone knows about, which should be on our right here, is YG Maya. It's kind of like a grocery store, and then it's also got all sorts of different little restaurants inside it for trying different types of food for Asian cuisine. There's a place somewhere in here. It's been so long, I don't even know if it's still here. My wife's favorite Chinese restaurant, Honey Court. That used to be open till like 4 in the morning, so I don't know if that's still the case. But Wajimaya is this building that we're passing on the left. Something I always enjoyed was a store called Pink Gorilla, which is a retro video game store. And their owner, Cody, actually does a Twitch stream. It seems like almost every night. Oasis, we used to go there for bubble tea all the time. That's a great place. But I believe Pink Gorilla used to be right here on the right. I think it is in that building somewhere. And they have 2 locations. They have a retro video game store here in the International District, and they also have a location in the U District. So what's kind of unique about them is they get in all these retro games, and they only sell locally. So if you want to go and buy online from them, they actually don't do that. So kind of a cool, yep, so they're right here on the right here. So if you want to find some cool used games that are retro, that is your place to go. My dream game to get a hold of is a Super Metroid from the SNES years. If I could get a sealed copy of that, like, that would just be my childhood dream. That was probably my favorite game of all time, and I sadly did not keep my copy of it. You know, I was one of those. Alright, well, that is the second time I've had that happen. I am filming on a GoPro 10, and if you go too long on the GoPro, it will actually get too hot and shut off on you. So I got to however long this video has gotten to be, and it told me that it was too hot and needed to turn off. So I don't know if that's a sign for me to turn off this video and say we are done for the night, but you know, I still got a little more energy, so we're just gonna drive a little bit more in the Chinatown International District. Where it cut off, I was talking about my favorite childhood game, which was Super Metroid for the SNES, Super Nintendo. If I could ever get a copy of that sealed in great condition, that'd be like my dream. So I know that Pink Gorilla every once in a while gets copies of games. I've never heard of them getting a sealed copy of Super Metroid, but man, if they ever did, I'd be curious on what it was going for. Alright, so let's take a look here. So we got the train station here. I'm gonna take a turn here. There's definitely still people out, you know, just kind of walking around doing their thing. It is definitely not warm out. It is currently 30, not as bad as I actually expected, 39 degrees. So it's not warm, but it's not, you know, freezing. So anyhow, GoPro 9 is now what we have swapped over. So maybe we'll see a difference in the footage, I don't know. But part of the reason I've been keeping my GoPro 9 and not selling it is for that reason. I've heard of it overheating. I've now had that happen a couple of times on me, and kind of sucks because this has been a great vlogging camera, but I really kind of enjoy getting to show you guys around the cities, and I'm hoping to do that more. Other thing I was looking at is, you know, walking around some of our malls. So Bellevue Square and Alderwood Mall are probably two of our more popular malls in the region, along with the U Village Mall and University of Washington. You know, if we do not move, I would like to do that in the summertime when it's warm. It's an outdoor mall, so great place to go in the summertime. Redmond Town Center, which is a mall I used to work at when my wife worked at the Macy's in Seattle here. She worked at the... Alright, I think this was where Honeyport was. I'm gonna have to ask my wife, because I honestly am not sure. But worked at the Redmond Town Center Macy's, and we both worked at Macy's at the same time, just different malls and completely different areas. But Redmond Town Center, it's kind of a city that is really important to her and I. We love it there. Gorgeous city. Always said that when we could afford a $500,000 house, we would move back there. Unfortunately, that is not really a reality. Home prices for what you're looking for in that area are now well over $1 million, and where we are currently, it's pretty much the same. So if you're looking for affordable housing in this greater Seattle area, it has gotten very difficult, which has been an unfortunate thing to see for people. People really want to, you know, live in this area. There's a lot of cool things about it, but it's just, as far as affordability goes, it is tough. So yeah, it kind of gives you an idea of International Chinese District. Driven around a couple of times. I'm gonna start heading back towards home. So getting out of the city and going back home. But you know, I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I look around and it's still a beautiful city. There's still a lot to offer here. It honestly did not look as bad as I was expecting, which I'm happy to say. And at the same time, there's still obviously a problem here. You know, crime is definitely an issue, and a lot of things to work out with addiction. You know, it's just like any major city. That's going to be a concern, and it's going to be a problem that we're going to face here. And I hope that, you know, over the next decade, we can really improve upon what's happening. You know what? We're going to do one more thing before I sign off. We're going to go down to the waterfront. So, give you a sneak peek of the waterfront, but a drive-through of it instead of doing it with my walking tour that I'll have coming up. So, hopefully I get that walking tour up this week is what I'm hoping. So, we're going to head down there and just give you an idea of what... So actually, you can see this park I was talking about earlier, we're back by the courthouse, has been completely fenced off. That area used to have a ton of homeless people in it, and crime and attacks around the courthouse were just out of control. So I know I had heard about, I think the county bought the land. So as you can see, we got all the tents here. So they obviously got kicked out of there and they just moved right to the streets here. But yeah, I think they bought the land, and I guess that was the answer, is fence it off, and now no one can use the park. So it's been kind of a frustrating theme, is, you know, these areas that tax dollars pay for and, you know, are there for the community to be used, are not necessarily getting used for all the best reasons, but it's helping keep people safer when they're going to the courthouse. I guess that's a good thing. Not sure how well that's working if it's just pushed them onto the streets right next to the park. But again, this is a early morning tour, and I'm very curious to see what this looks like during the daytime, early evening to middle of the night. You know, I'd be curious to maybe walk around a little bit. It's weird though, because, you know, I've always felt really safe in this city, and in the last decade, that safety feeling of feeling safe in the city has really been taken away from a lot of us. So you really got to be careful. So I'd like to kind of get a street view, but it would need to be done safely and probably a little more discreetly. So I've been using a gimbal and trying to give you nice smooth footage, because if we're going to do these videos, I want to make sure that you're seeing what you're seeing and not, you know, a shaky video that is hard to watch. And sorry, this is all different to me, so I'm just kind of feeling my way through here. But yeah, one of the big changes for down here is this whole area used to have the viaduct down here, and the viaduct was torn down. And when the viaduct was torn down, it's going to change this whole waterfront and what it's going to look like. So I'm really, really curious to see that, you know, even though we have some issues down here and we have some problems, the viaduct was kind of this eyesore. It was kind of an alternative to I-5 during rush hour and things like that. We now have the tunnel, which was dug with a machine they dubbed the Big Bertha, and had all sorts of issues because this is just not the type of soil and place to put a tunnel in. So it went well over budget, took way longer than they expected, but they did replace a tunnel along the waterfront, and in its place of the viaducts, the viaduct was torn down, which you'll see as we get turned around here. That's why there's all this construction here. So they're really kind of making the waterfront a lot more beautiful. It was always a really cool area to come to. Basically, this waterfront, you have Miners Landing where the big wheel is, you have Ivers, you have Anthony's, you have Elliott's, and all your typical things that you would expect out of Seattle, all the touristy stuff. There's Argosy cruise boats, all sorts of fun stuff that we've done over the years down here. And really cool area just to walk around. There's a bunch of piers and docks, and one of the ones, they have this huge dock down here, is being rebuilt. Not sure when that's going to be reopened. Hopefully that'll be reopened soon, but yeah, see what you can see from here. But waterfront's just a really cool area, you know. It's somewhere that's iconic to Seattle almost as much as the Space Needle. I think the big wheel has made a point of making it a little more known. The aquarium's down here. Also, there's a famous hotel that we looked at potentially going to when we got married for our reception. We ended up going with the Hyatt, the Grand Hyatt in downtown Seattle, actually, which we didn't drive by tonight, but maybe we can take a look at that one day. But yeah, this hotel in particular is where the Beatles have their famous photo of them fishing out of their hotel room here on the waterfront. So it's kind of, when I was doing my walking tour, I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I walk all the way down to this hotel, get a picture of it. So I actually, or not a picture, a video, I actually had stopped at Pier 66 and was like, I can't stop and not go to the Edgewater. So here's the Edgewater coming up. It's one of these hotels, it doesn't look so cool on the outside, but you get up to the front of it, it's got a cool little entrance, really kind of cool on the inside. But yeah, it just has some history with the Beatles, and it's just been a staple of the downtown waterfront for a long time. We used to come to the old spaghetti factory that was on the north end of the waterfront as well. That unfortunately is no longer there. That was another young Chris and Julie date spot. My wife's name is Julie, by the way. So right here, this was something new for me as well. So our walking tour will, when I get that video up, actually ends in this park that's right up here. So you go up this little ramp, if you can see that there, and there's a whole park that wraps around. It's a big U, and it pops out over here on our left, just up the hill a little bit. So we're gonna go up towards here. I don't know if the Space Needle's showing up, but you can see the Space Needle up on the hill. yeah, we're gonna start heading back home, guys. But this was kind of fun. It's kind of fun just to talk. If you don't like me talking, please let me know. More than anything, I just like the idea of getting to explore something. So I am in this area taking a look around and seeing what our city looks like in 2022. So if this is something you're into, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to commit to my upload time frame as of right now. You know, I've kind of gotten pretty excited and thrown quite a bit of content up in a week. I don't think that's sustainable, but can promise that I will be putting up content on a pretty regularly basis, and we'll be making a plan on what that time frame will look like. Whether that's going to be once a week, you know, drop a video on a Friday, or drop a video on Friday, and then if I have a extra video, doing it on a Tuesday. But that'll be kind of the plan, is figuring out what's comfortable for getting videos up. And if there's things you guys are curious about, the gear I'm using, the tech I like using, I'm more than happy to start looking into talking about that as well. But for now, I'm going to focus on exploring the Pacific Northwest, and thanks for joining. You guys have a great morning, afternoon, evening, night, whatever you are watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good night.